When you learn to love yourself, it trickles down for generations. We make generations of healed people instead of hurt people. Happy Self Love Sunday. I am Moe Sass, your host of Self Love Sundays. With Sass, I am your vision and empowerment and extreme execution coach who comes every single Sunday so we can talk about all the ways in which we can better our best. And happy February. This is the month of love. I love love. And it's also Black History Month, which makes it the extra cream on top of everything. And I'm excited about the month of February. And today we're going to talk about the best love of them all. And before we get there, I want you guys to know that my Finding Your Way accountability tracking workbook is now on Amazon as well as my website. And if you are working with a coach and or just want a way to track your and measure your goals for this year, this accountability workbook will allow you to do that. You can track your top 1 to 3 goals as well as your yearly goals in here. So this is available, and also Finding Your Way, a guided journal to loving and healing yourself. Now, this workbook you can use in conjunction with my book that I put out, which is Finding Your Way, 7 Ways to Love and Heal Yourself, which is also on Amazon as well as my website. Or you can just use it as a standalone journal. I actually give directions in the journal. So in how to create a journaling habit, as well as how to use the journal and what you can use it in conjunction with. Okay. So I'm super excited about that. If you pick up the accountability tracker, and why, I'm just going to say, an accountability tracker is so important. The way I was able to make most of my goals, which is creating my books and or doing my content, whatever it is because I track. And tracking will save your life because you will know, what you did do and what you didn't do. And what does that do? It helps you create what you should do. Okay. So those are out. I'm super excited. Again, I hope that you guys get an opportunity to purchase them. But let's get into this content today. And y'all, can we have a conversation today? Listen, I get it. Most people, when we talk about SEO and all that, you 6 ways to this and 5 ways to that. Today, I just wanted to come and just talk to you guys, have a conversation, because I'm going to read you a quote. And it says, when you learn to love yourself, it trickles down for generations. We make generations of healed people instead of hurt people. And yes, that's in my book. It is my quote. And the reason why it becomes so important is because, yes, self-love is about you. It's about you becoming the best version of yourself. But by you becoming the best version of yourself, it also trickles down to the people that come into your life. If you're a parent, it trickles down to your children. If you're just an auntie or uncle, it trickles down to them. It trickles down to your friendships if you don't have, because I realize that people are adopted and they may not have families, but they have friendships. It trickles down to your friendships. It trickles down to your work. It trickles down to your business. It is so self-love is the best love, because without it, you get a lot of the things that you are seeing now on social media and that's playing out in the world. And it's so interesting that people would rather look at a stage life than love themselves and create the life they really desire. And I'm gonna state this right now. I'm not talking about content creators. My children are content creators. So I love my content creators. And it's staged. It's literally someone setting up lights that in their video, kind of similar to what I did today, to come and talk to people. It's staged content from their showers to everything. Not saying they don't do it, but it's set up so that you can view it. So why spend all that time watching them unless you're going to become a content creator and do what they do? Then spend more time in your life loving yourself, understanding that you are the common denominator in everything that's happening to you. When we are children, we have no control over anything that happens to us. But as an adult, we are responsible. We're responsible for our lives. And so self-love, again, it's more than just taking some candlelight, bubble baths in a spa day, which is self-care and it's beautiful. And I'm reading this exactly, and I'm going to take this exactly from my book. Self-love is taking accountability for your life. It's understanding that all things begin and end with you. And if you make a declaration to stand in your power and own your life, accepting everything that's happening in you and around you, that's self-love. That's self-love. It's the acceptance that your life is yours. If you don't like something, that you have the power of the choice to change it, y'all. Like real talk. Like I'm reading this, but self-love is really about standing in your power. You don't like your life, then guess what? Let's build a different one. And it's asking yourself some very pivotal questions. It's saying, I love myself enough to be in a healthy relationship? Do I love myself enough to create an environment of love and inclusion? Do I love myself enough to look at the things that I don't necessarily like about myself and work to change them? Not to beat myself up, not to say that I'm not this and I'm not that. Is, do I love myself enough to give myself grace in my healing journey? Do I love myself enough to even heal? Do I love myself enough to create the partnerships that I want, the business that I want, to be and everybody doesn't want to be an entrepreneur, and that's great. Do I love myself enough to go in my job and be the best version of myself so that I can have the position that I desire? All of it starts with a question. Do I love myself enough? And if the answer is no, then we have to dig into why. What's behind that? Right? And then we have to start to look in the mirror. Let me tell you something about self-love, though. Let me tell you something about self-love. It's not just looking at external. It's about saying not only where I have been a victim, but where I've victimized. It's not only where someone has hurt me, it's where I've hurt somebody else. See, it's not, and I know when we look, everybody will have you believe there's all sunshines and rainbows and all this and that. No, this is a process, y'all. And it's there's times when I cried. There's times when I was like, man, I can't believe that I did that. And I've done some hurtful things. But I realized I did some hurtful things because I was a hurt person. And so I had to look in the mirror at that, not to beat myself up. Hear me, y'all. It's not to beat myself up. It's to say, what part of me brought that out? What I had to do is I had to say, do I love myself enough to face my mental, emotional, physical, and nutritional disconnects because I'm disconnected from the things that I want in my life? Do I love myself enough to face that and understand that it's not going to be easy? So the first thing that I had to do was get real with myself, because I understand that if you can't get real, then you're not going to heal. If you can't get real about the fact that you've hurt some people, if you can't get real about the fact that you've caused some pains, if you can't get real about the fact that you have some narcissistic traits too, while you out there calling everybody else a narcissist, if you can't get real about the fact that you had some toxic traits too that you need to work on, if you can't get real with the fact that your communication ain't always the best, and I said ain't, I said it. If you can't get real about that, then you're not going to heal. If it's everybody else's fault and everybody else did it to you and it's all because of them, guess what? That means they control your life. If it's all because of everybody else and the reason why your life is the way it is, that means they control your life. That means that you're not in control. That means you have absolutely no control of your life. It's all them. They did it. The last boyfriend, the ex-husband, the ex-friend, it's all their fault. Your parents, your sisters, your siblings, it's everybody else. Then they run your life. That means they have complete and utter control. They control what you do. They control how you feel. They control how you interact in your home, outside of your home, on your job. They control it all. But when you can sit and say, you know what? I'm going to take accountability for my life. I'm going to take full accountability. That means, listen, it wasn't my fault if someone caused harm to me, but it's my responsibility to heal me. It's not your fault. I'm going to tell you right now, I should have given this disclaimer earlier. It's not your fault what happened to you as a child. It absolutely wasn't. It absolutely wasn't. And I also want to be clear that I'm not talking about any sort of sexual violence of things of that nature, because I always have to get a disclaimer, because I realize that I have a responsibility when I put these videos out, that it reaches all parts of the world and all different peoples, and some people feel triggered by different videos. I'm not talking about that. There's no way in this world that we can ever foster an act of violence to ourselves. That's not what I'm saying. But I am challenging you to heal it. I mean, I'm challenging you to heal it. Absolutely. Because when you don't heal it, that incident, and you're talking to, and here's the thing, I'm talking from a person that was a victim of being sexually abused. And I say abuse because it was so traumatizing. It wasn't until I was 40 that I realized how much that thing was still right in my life, how much that man who touched me at the age of 13 was still running my life, because I hadn't healed. I want y'all to hear me. So no, it's not your fault. Absolutely. It can never be your fault when you are victimized. Absolutely not. But it's your responsibility to heal it, because that healing means they no longer control you. They no longer foster that fear in you. That's why this is so important. That's why this journey is important, because then you have your power back, and you stand in your power from a place of love and not fear. So you won't walk that thing out. And I promise you, if you sit down and start to journal about why in certain areas you're not where you want to be, you're going to find that there's some fear behind that. And the fear behind it, if you keep peeling back the layers of it, comes with something that's not healed yet. So I'm challenging you this month. I'm challenging you to get into your healing. Now you may say, well, how do I heal this? Where do I even begin? The first place is deciding that you want to heal. That's the first thing you have to do. And I know that sounds crazy. Like, what do you mean decide you want to heal? Yes, it's a decision. Absolutely, it's a decision. It's a decision to say, you know what? I'm no longer going to allow this thing to run my life. I'm no longer allow the pain that they caused me to run my life. I'm no longer holding on to this relationship from 25 years ago that broke my heart. How many more years must it go on? I'm no longer going to allow the things that my parents did or didn't do to run me. And again, my content, a lot of times I'm talking to people who are generally in their late 30s to their early 60s. I would say that's like the demographic. And I'm going to say to my young people, if you are watching, it's so important that anything that happens to you, that you take the time to heal yourself. You take the time to love yourself. Number one, decide that you're no longer going to allow that pain to run your life, because you will be so much further than I am today if you make those decisions early. I didn't make the decision early enough because I didn't know. I was running around in places and spaces with people that were not aligned with my destiny, were not even where I was supposed to be, doing the things that I had no business doing, all because I was hurting, all because I needed help. And I didn't make the decision, but I didn't even know it was my decision to make, because so many decisions have been made for me. So I'm saying to you today, the first thing you have to do is decide. And then the second thing you must do is get real. If you're not going to be real about it, you're not going to heal. If you're going to sit around and blame everybody and everything for it, then you're never going to heal. And I'm here to tell you, I'm going to validate you right now. It's absolutely their fault. 1000% is their fault. So now that you know it, what are you going to do about it? If no one else hears you, if no one else understands you, I'm here to tell you that I hear you and I understand. I hear you and I understand. I have my heart broken. I've been cheated on. I've been through bad relationships. Again, 13-year-old being touched by a grown man. I've buried two sons. I'm here to tell you that I hear you and I understand. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility today to decide. I'm going to be real about the places where people hurt me, and I'm also going to be real about the places where I hurt people. Because once you get real, now we can do something with that. Now we can stand in our power and say the common denominator in all of this is me. And I can change anything in my life once I've decided to do that. and it's not going to be easy. I'm not going to tell you that it is. So the next thing that you must do once you've decided, once you've gotten real, third thing is going to be to get you some help. You're going to have to get some help in this, depending upon the extremity of it, right? So if we're talking about any sort of sexual abuse, any sort of acts of gun violence, any sort of physical violence, you have to get yourself some help, meaning therapist. I went to therapy. Therapy plus Jesus for me. My foundation in God and my therapy is the very things that help me even understand why I was doing the things that I was doing. I would do things sometimes in the middle of it. Of course, I justified it. I felt right? Because I had to be right. I'm gonna tell you something about that need to be right. If you always need to be right, you're gonna find yourself right by yourself. Okay. And if you don't walk down the journey of healing and loving yourself, you're going to justify yourself in isolation. You're going to say it's everybody else's fault. They did this and they did, or they shouldn't be around me because this and that and the other. Don't even realize you isolated yourself. All because you weren't real with the fact that there's some things in it. It took two for some of these situations in these breakups. It took two. There were some things that you accepted. Why did you accept them? Why didn't you think you were not enough? Why didn't you think that it was okay to stay? Why did you think that it was okay to then go out and then talk about it and talk and dog this person out? Like there's so many different things that you've done in this too. Can we own it today? Can we take responsibility for that today? Because in owning it, then I could do something about it. Okay. And so again, I want to be clear because I can hear somebody coming with my video. I am not talking about someone who has been an act of any sort of violence. I'm being clear. So please don't come underneath my video talking about you. Listen, I'm not talking about them, or I'm not talking about that. Okay. What I am talking about is that every single person that's listening to this can stand in their power and absolutely decide, make a decision that they want listen to become the best version of themselves, and that starts with loving themselves. They can also make a decision that they're going to be real about where they were hurt in some relationships and where they also hurt people. And then they're going to do the next thing, which is decide to get help. Now, again, if it's something deep, therapy is the answer. Okay. And you have to do your research. Don't just, hey, she said, go get a therapist. Let me just, look up the first person. No, do your research. There's therapists have different, listen, there's grief therapists. I went to grief therapy for my two sons that were killed. Well, one was murdered and the other one was stillborn. I went to grief therapy. So there's different therapists for different things. Okay. So again, you can go to grief therapies. Therapists have all different sorts of niches. Look them up, research them, have a conversation, interview them, make sure they're going to be the best person for you. That's what I did. Okay. So that's one thing. That's one avenue. If it's not something that's deep, and if it's something where you want to learn how to effectively communicate, or you want to just work on self-love and healing, there are coaches for that. Okay. So coaches listen, the reason why I've done majority of the things in my life is coaches. Okay. So if you want to, again, there are statistics that say coaching, 72% of people say their communication skills became better. 71%, their interpersonal skills became better. Listen, 63%, their wellness have become better. 73% said their relationships improved overall. Also, it was 70% that says their self-esteem and their confidence also boosted as a result of coaching. And if you want to check the statistics for that, it's from the ICF. Okay, it was a study that they did. So if you're talking about 70% overall improvement just by working with a coach, what are we doing? Why? And the thing is, most people try to go at things alone. Well, here's the thing: we weren't born alone. We need one another. Okay. And if you say, hey, listen, coaching, I can't necessarily afford it. Make sure that you have a friend group, or you put yourself in a community of like-minded individuals, people who are looking to grow, people who are looking to heal, and not shame and blame everybody. Put yourself in the right environment. So number one, decide. Number two, get real. Number three, get help. Get help. That's how you begin this journey. That's exactly how that's it. And these are the steps that I took to get to the place that I am. And my story is I went from welfare to winning. I was a teenage welfare mother who took herself to six figures plus. Why? Because I made a decision. And here's the thing, I didn't just do this. And so my proof is not just me. I've also worked with so many clients that improvement that I'm talking to you about, I gave you stats from the ICF, but if you go to my website, www.mosass.com, the improvement is there. The proof is there. And it's because they took the initiative to say, I want to become the best version of myself. There are places and spaces where I need help and I want to be better in my relationships. I want to be a better mom. I want to be better in my career. I want to be a better daughter. I want to be a better friend. And yes, we created boundaries. They were healthy ones, though. I didn't teach them to go in isolation and shut out the world and blame everybody. Like, I really need you guys to just to take a look at what's happening. All these people out here giving relationship advice, hurt and single. If we're gonna be real, they're hurt and single. If you want relationship advice, go talk to people who have been married for years and understand if you desire to be married, what it takes to have a marriage of longevity. My parents have been together, my God, over 40 something years. Um, well over, because my brother is 50. So well over. And they're still together. Was their relationship perfect? Absolutely not. Okay. Absolutely not. It went through hills and valleys, and I was a part of it. I'm not gonna sit up and say it was the world's best love, because that's fairy tale. But they were committed. They were committed to their commitment that they made to each other. So they worked through it. Okay. And again, I'm not an advocate for somebody to stay in the relationship or leave a relationship. I'm an advocate for you loving yourself enough to understand what you need and what you desire. And if that relationship is in alignment with the characters and the values that you have set for yourself, what is your mission and vision for your life? Have you created one? So that's the next step. Number one, I decided. Number two, I got real. Number three, I got help. Number four, I created a mission and vision for my life. What is your mission and vision? If you haven't done these things, I need you to stop this video and then you just sit and do that. Really be honest with yourself if that's what you want. Because no one's coming to save you, darling. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. No one's coming. And so a part of saving ourselves is creating the life that we desire, what we love. You can absolutely, everything is possible when you believe. And when you believe is when you start loving yourself. See, before then, you don't believe. You absolutely don't. That's why having a foundation is important too. So I'm going to tell you the next step in building the vision and mission is building a firm, solid foundation with a higher source and a higher power. Again, I will never ever tell you who and what that should be. I'm just telling you that along this journey, having a firm foundation in my faith is what pulled me through when other people couldn't be there. So there are times when there's part of this journey you're going to do alone. You are, as you go through the work, as you're working with your therapist and you're working with your coach. I happen to have both. So I'm not speaking to you from a place of theory. I'm speaking to you from a place of this is what I have done and still do in certain areas of my life. You're gonna have to go and do some work by yourself. And having my foundation of faith helped me to pull through. When I say to myself, I can do all things. I can do all things. I can do all things. Not somebody else can come and do them for me. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. It helps me on the days when I'm crying, when I'm trying to work through that piece of unhealed trauma that happened to me in my life. It helped. So who or what do you believe in? How often do you spend time in your spiritual foundation? I'm telling you, as you walk through this journey, you need it. I'm not here to tell you what it is. I don't know if it's Buddha. I don't know if it's Allah. I don't know if it's Jesus Christ. I don't know if it's the tree. I don't know if it's universe. I have no idea. And I will never, ever tell you what you should choose. I will challenge you to say, do you love yourself enough to even search out what higher source is there for you? For me, as for me in my house, as they say, we follow the Lord, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And again, know many people of many different faiths, and I respect them, and I love them. Again, my job is not to persuade them to do anything. My job is to become, and that's for somebody today, because so often parents, we tell our children, what they should do: go to college, get a degree, do this, do that, run their own business, but we don't even take the time to do it for ourselves. We allow other people to be their role models when you can do it. You can do this. I'm here to tell you that if you decide, if you get real, get help, build a mission and vision, create the foundation, firm foundation of faith in whoever your God is, you can be that. You can pass down that. You can break the chain in your generation and change the DNA fabric. Your children, you can be the role model for them. Who told you that you can't be? Because I'm here to tell you that that's the voice that you need to silence today. That's why self-love is so important, because that's what I'm talking about, standing in your power. I love myself enough to say I can be my children's role model. These people spewing this stuff on the internet, who's setting up these stage lives for these people, like they don't have to follow that. And please, I want to be clear again. I'm not saying that content creators don't live that life. I know a few, they do. I'm just saying that everything has to be set up so you can see it. But why are you sitting there peeking in the window of someone else's house? Because whether you know it or not, that's what we're doing. When you can close the blinds, get into your house, begin to love yourself, and build the life that you desire, and then let that be a testament and a testimony for someone else, so you can turn around and say, if I can do it, you can do it. Because that's exactly what I'm doing here with you today. I'm saying, if I can do it, you can do it. I've written 3 books, you can do it. I also have a deck that's coming out, a journal card deck. If I can do it, you can do it. That's what I'm here to tell you. But the way to get there, number one, is loving yourself. Love yourself enough to look at the things that you absolutely adore about you, and the things that you don't necessarily love, and then work to heal those things so that you can come in alignment with yourself. And then watch what happens to your family. I watch what happens to my children as a result of every decision and choice that I make, because they don't see a mother who blames everyone for everything else. They don't live that kind of life. It's not everyone else. They understand that they are the CEO of their lives. My clients understand they're the CEO of their life. And no, it wasn't your fault what they did to you, but it's your responsibility to heal you. Okay? So I look forward to this month of love, 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 love. I look forward to talking to you next week. Again, if you have any sort of feedback, questions, please first listen to the whole video, not just the clips, y'all. Lord, y'all be killing me. Y'all hear like a 20-second clip and have all these comments. Listen to the whole video first, then come back. We can talk about it. info@mosass.com. You can email me, or you can also reach out to me at www.mosass.com. That is my website. Subscribe. I have so many phenomenal things happening in 2024. Programs that help heal your heart. Oh my God, I'm so excited about my program, Heart Sync. Go to my website, check it out. I'm also starting a community this year. It's called 1% Nation. 1% Nation, what we're about is doing what the 99% don't do, so we can have what the 99% don't have. So I'm excited. Go check it out again on my website, and I look forward to talking to you next week.